you.
All right, I'm filming.
Are you?
All right.
Okay,
Maybe.
Damo. Well, here's the plaque I was saying about. What it says in French is "La mémoire of Jefferson Davis," in memory of Jefferson Davis, Président des États Confédérés, President of the Confederate States, who stayed here, who spent time here in 1867 in the home of John Lovell. I don't know who he was, which was at the time right here, where this the bay is. And this plaque itself was actually erected in 1957, 90 years later, by the Society of the United Daughters of the Confederacy. Now, isn't that fascinating?
Very fascinating.
Yeah, it is. And of course, Canada, people here in Canada at the time, obviously English-speaking people, were sympathetic to the Confederacy. And as it turns out, the plot to kill Abraham Lincoln was hatched. A good portion of it was hatched here by Mr. John Wilkes Booth, the famous assassin who killed Lincoln in a theater. And as he leapt off the balcony to escape, he broke his ankle. And he could not make his escape, and so they caught him.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate United States.
That's correct, yeah.
And he was staying in what is present day.
But,
What kind of building is this?
well, this is the bay, right?
Yeah.
Which was called Morgan's, because I guess I don't remember who, but the bay is, of course, the Hudson's Bay. Morgan must have been a guy who owned it for a while. I don't know about that part. But this is not the original building. But what it's telling us is that the building owned by John Lovell was obviously situated right here. Now, was John, I don't know much about the Confederate United States, but obviously they had a different point of view on abolition of slavery, and then of course there was the Civil War. But I would imagine there were British-speaking people here, and Britain itself was sympathetic to the Confederacy, because they were hoping it would lead to the collapse of the Republic.
So are we going to wrap this up with a conclusionary statement? Is that even a word? Conclusionary?
Conclusionary? No, it sounds kind of delusionary.
I just made it up. I just made it up.
Well, okay, one last point. If you look here, you'll see there's a little faint glimmer of copper under here. This coloration is called verdigris, okay? And this is what happens to copper. There are a few buildings in Montreal that have been restored recently, and you can see the copper. And I would imagine, I don't know what this means here, but GI and G5, this must be Latin or something, maybe not necessarily Latin. It looks like G1 and G5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that refers to a year. And if you look here, you can see the traces of the stars of the Confederate States, right?
Yeah.
And of course, who knows if this society still exists? We should look it up on the internet.
All right.
So that's it.